Welcome to the Simsbury View. My name is Dominique Avery. Today, the View is about a wonderful new event coming to town for the holiday season. It's called the Simsbury Holiday Market and Village, and will be held at the beautiful grounds of the Simsbury Historical Society for 3 weekends. To talk about what will be happening, who's producing this, and how the Holiday Market and Village came about are my two guests. Joe Buda, who is with the Simsbury Historical Society and shortly will be elected as the next president, and Tammy Braz, who's a Simsbury resident, event planner, and the founder of the amazing Simsbury Flea and Smorgasbord, I knew I'd get that wrong, and other events. Welcome to both of you. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you, Dominic.
When I heard about this, it struck me as just an absolutely fabulous idea and great partnership. And my first question was, how did this thing come about? How did you two get together? How did this, tell me how this happened.
It's Joe's idea, so I'll let him
Well,
tell you.
it was really a joint idea we had at the Historical Society for several years. We thought, wouldn't it be great to create a holiday village atmosphere that you see in Europe, mainly in Europe, but also in the United States. We looked at what was going on in New York, Philadelphia, other cities, but also towns. And then how could we create a similar type event in Simsbury, and what would that look like? And last year we thought about it, and it seemed so overwhelming. And it really wasn't until we saw the smorgasbord and the antique market that we said, let's talk to Tammy, because the market part isn't our forte. So we did a meeting really right after that, I think it was.
Yes.
And we talked about, okay, the market part, and then we would look at the village. That's why we separated the two names a little bit, because the market is really the expertise area that Tammy does so well. And then we looked at, okay, the village, we could create that. And with team-based groups working in different areas around the Historical Society property.
So just let me sum this up. Mm-hmm. So you have had this idea for a while that you wanted to do something. Then you saw what she did in the spring, which was an amazing event. We can talk about that later. And then you sort of married the two together. Right. I am so enthusiastic because the one thing that's on my bucket list that I have never done is gone to a Christmas market in Germany. Oh, yeah. And I know about them. They've been beautiful. I go there a lot, but I'm there in November. I've been there in January, but I'm never there. So I want you to do a fabulous event.
We're going to work on it. I mean, that's our goal, because I saw when I luckily was there in one time in southern Germany for that holiday time, and it was just so magical. Right. And the spirit and the music and the event. So we're really trying to look at that and see how that could be created, but with the Simsbury flair, what I'll call to it. So. Well,
for some time, for a number of years, you had the candlelight tours, which was always one of the most popular things at the Simsbury Historical Society. Yeah. And those sort of too much work or something, I can't remember.
Some things fade away after a while. Sometimes things work in the volunteer base, shifts, as you know, and that you focus on other things. So this was something, Kevin Gray, who was former president, talked about, and others, said, we should do something, and we weren't sure what. And then it really gelled around more of that European type market, but village also. We'd recreate, in some ways, a village of activities around the market.
Right, and you have this amazing space downtown, and in the winter, except for the one day with Simsbury Celebrates, it's unused.
It really is.
So, Tammy, tell me a little bit about the holiday market and what you have planned, and the tent, and you call it a state-of-the-art tent. What tell me, because it's kind of cold here in the winter.
There you go.
Yes, I just want to say that when Joe told me about the idea, I was just so excited, and I said to myself, well, if they decide not to do it, I want to steal that idea. But I knew we would come together and get it all organized. The tent is going to be heated, for one, because that's the first thing people ask me is, it's cold in December. I'm like, yes, we're going to have it heated. And we're going to have mainly artisan vendors, jewelry. We have really some great people lined up, handmade soaps. We have a woman who's coming, and she's going to sell her own dyed yarns. We have, just some really interesting vendors And we're also going to have music. We will have, free concerts and other performers. We'll have a day with Santa, a day with Saint Nick. So we have a lot of stuff planned. The families can come out and take their own photos around.
And photos of the family photos?
Yeah, family photos for Christmas cards and that type of stuff. So there's going to be stuff going on besides just shopping. We'll have the tea room open. Well, that's more of the village part, but we just have a lot of things planned.
Did I see also something about food trucks?
Oh, yes, I forgot the main thing. Food trucks, yes. We'll have probably 4 food trucks each weekend. Some of them will be rotating in and out, so you'll see a lot of different food trucks coming in.
So we'll review it again for the end, but when does this kick off? And so it's on the weekends, right? So can you give us the dates?
It starts Friday, November 25th, the day after Thanksgiving. And we're kind of trying to give people a more relaxed way to go out and shop and, visit with relatives. We have the state troubadour that day coming out to sing a free concert. So it's going to be very interesting.
So it's that weekend, and then it's the following. I think I wrote
And then
it down.
we go to Kate Callahan. That's her name.
Oh, yeah,
our
right.
state troubadour. She's going to do a free concert that Friday at 12. So it's Friday through Sunday, the 25th through the 27th. Then we have Saturday, December 3rd and 4th, and then we have December 10th and 11th.
So it's 3 weekends.
3 weekends.
So the second day is Saturday, November 26th, which is also the day of Simsbury Celebrates, which is this townwide event.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So how are you interfacing with them? Are you just going to be sort of like a part of it? I mean, people will stop by the fair and be able to shop. I think it will actually add a lot to Simsbury Celebrates.
I think so, too. We're not part of Simsbury Celebrates. It's 2 different organizations and, separate. But, yeah, I think it's going to add to all of the excitement.
Have you talked with them? Were they a
No,
little
we have
worried?
people on their committee too. I think Ika Scully's on that group, and they talked, and they liked the idea. So it was really just trying to see how we could complement and how it could work together with it, knowing that it is a separate event. So in how we're structured, but a lot of times we did, a lot for Simsbury Celebrate over the years. We normally have our Phelps Barn Exhibit Center open with Santa's Workshop, and we'll still do that. We'll still do the sleigh and ski exhibit and that we do there in sleds. But we've added a lot more activities.
Okay, so now let's focus a little on the Simsbury Historical Society and what you're doing.
Right.
That's the village part.
Yes, the village part, really we try to encompass almost all the buildings if at all possible. So we'll start with the Phelps Tavern in the Phelps House, where we'll have tours of different eras of how the holidays were celebrated. And we really want to expand that to even Hanukkah and other holidays also. But it would be, what would it be in 1770? What would it be in 1830, for an example? Then what would it be in the Victorian era? We'll go upstairs and we'll do that in the ballroom. And that'll be a pretty elaborate display and exhibit for Victorian era. Then we'll go downstairs to the tea room. We've just, as you may know, we've renovated that area downstairs through a grant through the Wagner Foundation, supported putting in a kitchen, basically one that someone could come in and work from. I forgot the exact word they used, but the kitchen's established in there. So we're also using it for a tea room. So the tea room will be there. We'll have various events within the tea room.
Yeah, I actually picked this up. Simsbury Tea Room Mother-Daughter Afternoon
That's
Tea
one of those.
On Sunday, December
Absolutely.
4th. I mean, you can't really see this here.
Yep.
But it looks charming.
And that's going to be a great one. We'll have another one as a kickoff for the kickoff party on the Friday, where people could get sort of an advanced look at all the events that are happening in the area. One of the events we just worked on last evening will be a Scandinavia, a Swedish celebration. What would a Swedish holiday look like? So we're doing an afternoon event on December, I believe that's the 10th. With the different foods from Sweden, how would they serve the St. Lucia holiday that they have there? I think
with
that's
they have a
with
crown,
the crown, with the candles, and
right.
we're having them come in. Ami Mitchell's working on that with us, and she's coordinating that section, and we have a team building around that right now. So we'll have that for another event. So that'll be coming up. We'll have concerts. We have the Nutcracker with one of the affiliated groups of the Hart School that come in and they do the Nutcracker performance in Simsbury Celebrates. In that time, we have the different concerts at the meeting house. So that meeting house will be used for various things that we could bring in as well as concerts and performances. We moved. We talked a little bit about the Phelps Barn. The Phelps Barn is really an exhibit center now, where we have many. We have a Santa's workshop set up there, fully functioning woodworking shop from the 1830s. So we'll set that up with wood carvers and woodworkers and people there. We'll bring in artisans. We're looking at tinsmiths and others that could do work in that area, but they'll be work on holiday items and things of this nature. In that same building, we do a really large exhibit on sleds, skis, skates from the overall periods that would be used. And so that's in that building. Also, we have other exhibits we're looking at. So a lot of activities occurring in that building. Then where else do we have? We have so much going on. We have in the Ellsworth, we'll have the shop that we have. Our store will be open. We're expanding that with the vendors that we use now, and a lot of commission items are there. We'll do a silent auction in that building also. So we'll use that building for that. And we're still looking at other buildings for other vendors that want to come in that really don't want to commit to being in the tent area, but would like to just be there for a short period of time. So we're trying to figure that out with some other space we have on the property. But we have a sled painting, for an example.
Yeah, so tell me about that.
We just finished up the Scarecrow
right.
event, which was incredibly popular.
So for people who didn't see it,
okay, yeah.
You had a Scarecrow event where you provided the materials
right.
and the clothing.
Correct.
And
the frame.
Right, the frame.
Yep, and we had a rate where they I think it was $15, and they built the scarecrows right there on the property. We also worked with the different stores. If you go around town now, you'll still see a lot of the scarecrows up. They're a wonderful job.
Did I see a wedding couple in front of
wedding couple.
Bill Selig's yesterday?
Right.
Yeah.
Bill did that.
Yeah.
There's a great one in... I was just up the other end of town for a ribbon cutting ceremony last night. New businesses are coming in. And they had some great ones up there. Scarecrows in the windows. Sarah Burns had one like stuffed in her window, and another one that was the Olive Oil, the new store, that shop
right.
that just opened, had this great artist one with the scarecrows.
So now people in town will also learn what all those scarecrow things came from.
That's the
All right, so let's go
true.
back to the holiday sled.
Right.
Now.
So we looked at that. We said, what could we do that's more of a holiday one for the winter? So we settled on the sleigh. So that more of the flexible flyer style sleighs, which are out there that are floating around yet, and we could get them for reasonable prices. We're buying those up and purchasing them, and we'll have them for painting. So people will put the primer coat on it, but then people could either stencil on those or paint on the sleighs for whatever they want for their homes. So that's another project event that we do. That will be on, let's see, when we have that scheduled. I think it's December 3rd on a Saturday. Uh-huh. So we'll run that.
It's the second weekend. Then I saw something about an ugly sweater stroll. Is that coming?
Yes, that we are still working on. But that's one thing I definitely wanted to incorporate, because I think it'll be fun and people can stroll around not only the village and the market, but also other stores on Main Street.
Right.
And we should also mention that we are renting out the tent during the week for events. If someone wants to have a holiday party there, a business wants to have some sort of function, they could come in and rent it for the day or the afternoon or the evening.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. So while you were talking, I had a couple of thoughts. One was, I didn't ask, are you having Christmas-themed ornaments for sale? I mean, that's the kind of thing that they do at the German Christmas market.
Right.
And
Yes, we do have a couple of vendors who are selling ornaments, handmade ornaments, yes.
And we're just on that from the historical point of view. We just met with a local artisan we're looking at doing wooden ornaments at our Simsbury, that we're going to look at the 12 days of Simsbury. So we'll have 12 made perhaps over a 3-year period, but we'll do 4 this year, perhaps 4 next year, and 4 the year after, as a sequence of ornaments highlighting different spots in town. But
that's a fabulous idea,
Yes.
and I'll tell you why, and you should keep this in mind too. One of the things that the Simsbury Tourism Committee has been working on for years is trying to encourage people to make Simsbury-centric souvenirs.
right.
Small, I mean, from at every level, from cheap to expensive. I go to Germany every single year, and every single year I need to bring something to the people who host me. And it's a terrible problem because I did go to your gift shop recently, and they have a lot more stuff there
We
now.
do. We really expanded that.
So we have compiled a list of every store that sells little Simsbury things. But the other day on Facebook, somebody said, are there any Simsbury pencils or little things, I guess, for children? I was thinking that is something that is so needed.
Yeah.
So I think
I
think the ornament is a
Good.
wonderful
We just had a
idea.
meeting on that yesterday, and we're cranking away at it.
Okay, so then I had a second question about lighting, about what is the lighting going to be on the property? I mean, because I think that is so sort of the lighting in the tent and the lighting
Right.
outside, something about Christmas. I'm sure you're thinking about that, but that will make a huge difference in the atmospherics of the event.
Yes. In terms of just regular lighting in the tent, I actually just talked to Connecticut Party Rentals. It's just going to be regular lighting in the tent, but we have several decorations that we're looking into right now. Because, it has to be festive, and
Right.
we want it to be festive,
Right.
but that's sort of a work in process right now.
And like electric candles in the windows? At the
Right.
Historical
That's what we're
Society?
looking at now, where we could put electric candles throughout our buildings, where it's appropriate, and how to create that environment.
Right.
And we had that with the Swedish
Right.
weekend, is how to use candles. How do we do it with the hurricane lamps, for example,
Right.
within the building,
Yeah.
but also electric style ones, and how can we create that atmosphere in a safe environment? So we're working on that.
So I happen to have a grandson who is crazy about horses and loves horse-drawn carriage rides. And
We talked about that briefly.
so briefly, so I was going to put in a plea because we went to Canton last year. They had a holiday thing during the week,
Right.
and we took the ride there. And it was so wonderful. It was just, and it would be so great to have sort of just around the Historical Society
We
or
have
something.
to check into that. We haven't. We talked about it
very briefly, and
Right.
I think it scared us.
It's a little bit, yeah. I mean, because we're in the middle of town, it's a little bit more complex.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
probably. But it is
No.
extraordinarily popular.
It is
My
very,
grandson
very
is
popular.
not the only 3-year-old
No,
who loves
it's
horses.
Very true. And we could look at that and see what's available.
And we
were
have the
going
carriages.
and we have a collection of carriages
You do?
and sleighs.
Right.
So the sleighs we're going to put out for photo opportunities, and that's another area where people could take photos on sleds, sleighs that we'll have out there, so we could set the posing up for those.
So
and
do you have
the staging.
photographers who are...
We're trying to
lined
look
up?
at that right now, and I'm gonna actually try to talk to the. I have a call-in for the camera club here in town. So if they would be interested in taking the pictures and perhaps looking at what backdrops we could use in those type of settings, and how to run that photo op section
Right.
and backdrops. I have this vision of one where it would look like a postcard in back of, welcome to Simsbury Winter Wonderland
Yeah.
or something, and then have that as a backdrop that could be put in on then the families are on the sleighs and the other sleds we have, Victorian sleds. We have a number of different really interesting pieces.
Yeah, Ika sent me some photographs that you guys did to promote it as a wedding place.
Right,
and
correct.
There's a lot of great locations,
There is.
and especially winter with the sleds.
And we
things
could
like
do a
that.
wedding, a Friday wedding.
There we
But one
go.
thing I wanted to say about the pictures is that people can also bring their cameras or their phones and take their own pictures. And
Right.
that way it's a little bit more, you can
Right.
pick what you want
Right.
and do your own type
Right.
of thing.
Well,
So we really want to blend both of those
Yes.
together,
And I also saw you have a website. I also saw something about a fun run and a 5K. Is that going to happen?
That's not going to
okay.
happen.
So we'll just cross that off.
Yes.
There you go.
It was, I think when we thought about it, I had all these grand ideas, and Joe did. But it's the first year, and we're just going to see
Yeah.
how much we can get away with.
It's really the volunteerism. I'm trying to get volunteers because each event takes a lot of time. You don't want to wear out the volunteer group and
Right.
our teams that we have at the Historical Society now. So we're really looking for more volunteers if there's groups.
And are you still, so volunteers is there a number that
could
they can
contact us.
volunteer?
The Simsbury Historical
Okay.
Society number is probably the best to use.
And are you still looking for people for vendors or artisans?
We have a few spots left. The first weekend is pretty full, but we have some for the second weekend, December 3rd and 4th, that are still available, and a few for the third weekend. And we also have the barn that we may open up for artisans that have bigger pieces, maybe furniture or, things like that.
So how are you publicizing this?
Right now, we're doing a lot of Facebook, and we're also doing a lot of the free sites like ConnecticutNow.com. We're going to do some cable advertising and some advertising in the newspaper, but it's kind of strange because people don't want it too early because then they're like, well, just, we have to get through
Right.
Halloween
Right.
and Thanksgiving. So probably we're going to shoot for like the 15th of October to really start advertising it all over the area.
Okay, so we're recording this on October 7th. This will air throughout the whole month of October. And
Oh, that's
at
great.
least
This week's
locally.
Terrific.
Yes.
So,
This week, great.
which brings me now to the spring smorgasbord and flea market that you did. That was so incredibly successful for a first-time event. How did you do that?
Honestly, I just come up with these ideas, and I actually tried to get someone else to do it. I tried to get a few organizations to do it, and some of them weren't really interested in it, or it was too big. And I said, I'm just going to try it, and it really took off. I think people around here love the ideas. They love the food trucks. And I think next year what we're going to try to do is sort of like our own version of Flea Market Flip, which is it's like a show on HGTV where you take an item and you repurpose it and, you try to sell it for more money and there's a winner. So we're going to try to do a version of that for next year.
Well, I loved it. I had a wonderful time. I love flea markets anyway. But I also, I have to put in just a personal little story is I have been hearing about poutine for so long and had never seen it anywhere. And you had a truck there. And it was like, there was another thing on my bucket
There
list.
you go. That's it. Right? Oh, that's great.
So you have fulfilled several of
There you go.
my bucket list desires.
I just hope we can have such another successful event, which I think it will be.
We feel good that this could be. I mean, the weather. We always have to work with that and the possibilities of snow and things
And
of this
ice
nature and ice.
Yeah,
And how do
that's-
we
yes.
handle that?
Right.
But we're confident that we could work that. And
So we have a couple of minutes, just a couple of minutes left. So let me just turn to the Simsbury Historical Society.
Right.
I noticed in an email, I get emails from you that you are looking for new board members, and you're the president-elect. You haven't been elected yet,
Nope.
but you will be. So
Hopefully.
do you have some other goals? I can't imagine anybody saying they didn't want you
oh, thank you.
Especially now.
with all the work that you do.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. But yeah, I think in the other areas, I think we're looking at really, the volunteerism, it's engaging not just Simsbury, but, the area and the importance of understanding the past, present, and future as a stream of the value, and then looking at the history part. So we're really looking at that and making it come alive from an educational point of view, as well as what we've been doing with exhibits and events with the Innovation Fair. A lot of work was put on that over the last few years too, and different events. But we're now trying to target the 2020. The whole idea of our 350th anniversary is coming up in the year 2020. So the town's now getting activated in that area. We're looking at that. We're looking at how we could do events, but also build a heritage center type feel to the Historical Society, where it becomes even more so of the hub, which it is now. But how could it be even more relevant to the individuals? Colonial Day, we're looking to expand that with the schools. We're doing a great deal with that also.
I think it was Ika's son who did a little piece on Colonial Day. Did he edit
Right,
it?
he did the video.
Yeah, and it was on SCTV. I thought it was just absolutely the best thing because I knew about Colonial Day and I knew that kids went there, but I never saw it. Parents don't go.
No, though it's true.
So
I mean, it gave
wonderful.
that snapshot.
Right.
I think and that's one of the areas we're looking at is how do we expand that and making it more relevant.
Well, I think this marriage between history and market is I can't imagine that it won't be successful. And I think it's a great thing for the Historical Society because it is an incredible resource, but a little underused. And I think this will bring a lot of people there. I'm looking forward to it. I wish you good luck.
Thank you so much.
I will be there.
Thank you. We're looking forward to seeing you there.
So actually, our time is up.
Oh, can I just mention one other thing?
Sure. Quick.
Admission is free to the market.
Okay, to the market it's free, but the Historical Society.
So we'll have
there
certain
will be
events,
some
event-based.
Yes.
Yeah, so the sled thing will cost money.
Yeah,
and,
right.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that people will spend a little money
A
anyway.
few.
A little, yeah.
That's right.
So now our time really is up. Thanks to everyone here at SCTV Behind the Scenes for getting this show on the air. Thanks especially to my guests, Joe Buda and Tammy Braz. It's been a real pleasure to have you here and hear about this. I can't wait to see all the wonderful things that you have planned. And finally, thank you for joining us. If you want to know more about the market, you can go to SimsburyHolidayMarket.com. And if you missed any portion of this show, you can always find it on our website at SimsburyTV.org. I'm Dominique Avery. See you next time on the Simsbury View.
Funding for Simsbury Community Television is provided in part by contributions from viewers like you. Thank you.